better at it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're good. You're good. No, that was much smoother than some past introductions that we've had with folks. I mean, because I know I sent you the link, but sometimes it's easier with that ID. So, man, thanks for
Yes.
finding us, Steve. It really means a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. No problem, man. No problem at all.
This is just fantastic to have you. We've got a ton of Packer fans in here, and I mean,
Awesome.
I'm sure a lot of them, read your comments in our story. But for those who don't know, Steve Calhoun, he's the Jedi Master out there in California, working with Jordan Love. Getting
Sure.
the Green Bay Packers 2021 starting quarterback ready to go. I'll say it, Steve. It's all right.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna let you say that, Tyler.
You guys know where I stand. I say that they should just move forward, man. It's a new day. It's a new day. But anyways, it was awesome talking to you, Steven, and really get a sense for what you're doing with Jordan day in and day
Awesome.
out. It's so cool. And yeah, just if you can, just introduce yourself to these folks and how you connected with Jordan and what you do. And we just
Sure.
kind of make it a free flowing conversation. So anybody can just speak up at any time, really.
Okay. Yeah. I'm Steve Calhoun. I run Armed and Dangerous Football. My company, we train quarterbacks and receivers. So I've had my company now for 15 years. And the way I actually connected with Jordan Love was I was training Cody Kessler, who played at USC, and he's from out of Bakersfield as well, and he played for Coach Nixon at Centennial High School, who Coach Nixon later went on to start coaching at Liberty High School, where he ended up calling me and said, "Hey, I have an incoming freshman that's really, really good named Jordan Love that I want you to work with." The first thing is, Coach Nixon, I appreciate him believing in what, my ability to train his quarterbacks. And, after Cody Kessler had his success, he was there, called me up and wanted me to work with Jordan. So that was my first introduction to Jordan Love, his freshman year at Liberty High School. And we just built that relationship and just kept working, throughout his high school career and through his time at Utah State and on to, his pre-draft stuff last year. And yeah, and now we are here today, on the Zoom call.
And I think you said you throw on Wednesdays and Fridays. So were you just out there with them today working on stuff?
Well, we actually threw Monday and Wednesday because he's actually going to spend some time with his mom and his sister down in San Diego because he's leaving to back to Green Bay on Sunday. So, yeah.
And what's possibly going through his mind right now? I mean, everybody's just kind of waiting on bated breath. I can't imagine being Jordan Love in the middle of this madness at the moment.
Well, he's done a great job of just blocking out the noise, like we talked about in our interview, or when you had the chance to interview me. He's just blocking out the noise and controlling what he can control. But I know he's excited to get back to camp and just be around the guys, and that's kind of where everybody's on the same page. Nobody's listening to the to the media and the comments and the TV and stuff. You can just really be around your guys and just focus on, trying to become a better Jordan Love and a better Green Bay Packer, a better teammate, and start to, get the confidence from the coaches that I know he wants to show. It was a tough year. I mean, coming out, during COVID, not having any, making many rookie camps, that would have been great for him to be able to just learn the offense a little bit more. But okay, COVID's here, no preseason, no mini camps, none of that stuff. Okay, we got to get all our starters ready to go. So you're not going to get any reps with the ones or the twos or anything like that. So it was a tough year, not only for Jordan, but I know a lot of the rookies that came out. So I know he's looking forward to kind of getting back to a regular routine of going to, OTAs and being around the guys. And yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, whoever just wants to fire away, man. Steve's an open book, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a question. So you mentioned that like you said, Jordan was kind of the third string quarterback for most of last year. Had to deal with COVID coming out as kind of a third stringer, possibly working with the scout team, taking third team reps. In general, what can a young quarterback learn from doing something like that? And how have you seen Jordan improve from year one to year two?
Well, I mean, the first thing is you get a chance to learn the speed of the game. Because you're going against the number one defense, being a scout team quarterback. Um, Definitely that, but he really didn't get a chance to get a handle on the offense because you're running everybody else's offense from the next 16 weeks or 17 weeks, whoever you're going to be playing. So he really was kind of didn't get a chance to get a lot of knowledge. I mean, yes, you got a chance to sit in the meetings and be around, you know, Boyle and A Rod, to learn the game plan and all that stuff. But as a young quarterback just getting into the NFL, and you want to be able to absorb that new playbook, but with you got to service, you got to be that good teammate. And okay, I'm the scout team quarterback this week, and give the best look to our defense that he can possibly give. So it was a little bit of a slow learning process, but as soon as the season was over, we came back, and he just dived in head first to the playbook, and was talking to had meetings with the quarterback coach and Coach LaFleur, if not every day, every other day, just trying to get up to speed to, okay, now we're going to be on a regular schedule where I'm not going to be that scout team quarterback. I'm going to be definitely a two, and be a great backup to Aaron, and learn the offense and be ready to go if my number's called.
And that's a great question, because I mean, it kind of pisses me off when people are writing off Jordan Love already, and it's like he didn't even have a chance to be himself in practice. Like, we didn't see him in preseason. Obviously, we didn't see him in the regular season at all. But like in practice, players were telling me like he never had a chance to even be himself. Like, he's pretending to be other quarterbacks all year. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, I have a question for you. And
Sure.
I don't know if Tyler told you this, but we had Lamar Jackson's coach on for one of these as well. And I asked him this same question, but I'm curious to hear your perspective, because with Lamar's the starter.
Mm-hmm.
And with Jordan, he was inactive every week. What's your relationship with him like during the season?
I mean, we probably talk every couple of weeks. It's not not an everyday type thing. It's not an every week type thing. More, hey, how you doing? How's it going in Green Bay? How's practice? Those type things. Nothing where I'm trying to be an extra coach, for Green Bay and help him out, anything like that. If he did ask me that, I'll definitely be here for him. But it's just more just, hey, how you doing mentally? I know it's tough being going from a starter, playing every down, at Utah State, and then okay, now I'm in a scout team role, which he probably had to do maybe 5 years ago when he just arrived at Utah State. But yeah, I mean, we talked every couple of weeks, if that, and just checking on just how you doing, just being more of a big brother type person and not really a coach. So
What kind of quarterback? I mean, like, so he is the real, beautiful mystery here, because a lot of people just haven't seen the best of him at this level.
mm-hmm.
But you see him day in and day out. What is that special trait inside Jordan Love as a quarterback that you think we will see eventually?
Jordan is a little bit of it's kind of a catchphrase, like a quiet assassin type deal. He's not going to do a whole lot of talking, but he really works hard at his craft to become, he wants to be a Pro Bowler. He wants to be, MVP of the league. He wants to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So, I mean, he's really just taking my program. I mean, I'm a very detailed oriented coach. I believe like everything matters. Like there's nothing that I'll let Jordan get away with, from where his foot placement is, to where his arm angle is, where his arm extends, and his reads, and how he has to go through his progression, where his eyes and his front shoulder. I talked to him about, I want them to stay connected. So as you go through a full field progression, when you do see something open, your body's already in position to throw the ball that direction. So I mean, he's really taken that. I mean, and that's something that, you know, we've been working on since the ninth grade. Um, so I mean, he's focused on that. Um,
There we go.
we got a little background interruption. That's all right. Hey, that's what's going on. That's 2021. But yeah, just to finish the thought, yeah, I mean, he's an extremely hard worker, and he wants to be great, and he's going to do everything that, you know, I asked him to do, and Coach LaFleur and anybody else in the Packers organization. So he definitely wants to be great, from jumping rope to spending time in the playbook and watching, you know, film from last year. And, you know, man, you just have a chance to watch one of the best quarterbacks ever to throw a ball around, you know, in Aaron Rodgers. You get to sit there and be, you know, around him every day. And I know, you know, he had talked to me about just sucking up as much information and being a sponge, you know, and just learning as much as he possibly can from Aaron.
That's awesome. And Sal, yeah, definitely. If anybody can just shout out to me, I see your hands raised. That's a good way to go about it too. So fire away, Sal.
Hi. So I was just wondering a couple things. In an article that I read, I saw that Jordan had picked up some habits from Rodgers that he had to kind of iron out. And I was wondering kind of what that stuff was. And then I was wondering also if you could give us a couple of his strengths. I mean, we haven't seen him play. I'm really looking forward to preseason and especially that Jets game, because I'm hoping we'll get like a Wilson matchup, and that would be really cool to see. But if you could just like kind of let us know what those things were that he was picking up that were bad habits, and what his real strengths are as a quarterback.
Okay, well, you know, when you're around Aaron every day and you're in practice and you see some of the stuff that he's doing, as far as it's unorthodox for me as a quarterback coach to try to teach that. But when you see it every day, I mean, Aaron is one of one. Some of the stuff he does, I can't simulate it to try to teach it. So, you know, but, you know, Jordan picked up on some of those things, and it's not a bad habit. It's just, it's not Jordan Love. You know what I mean? Jordan was drafted for a reason. You know, that the Packers saw some strengths that he can do, and I'm going to get into that just in just a second. But, you know, you see Aaron making some off-platform throws, and, you know, his feet are in the air, like both feet sometimes are in the air, or he's off his front foot or back foot making throws with his arm angled down or coming across his body. And Jordan kind of picked up on some of those things and like, okay, let me try that. Like, this guy's going to be a, you know, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let me just try some of those things that makes him Aaron Rodgers. So, but, you know, so when he came out here, he, you know, when we started training, he did a couple of those things, and I'm just like, hey, wait, hold on, man. Let's go back to our fundamentals. Let's go back to the things that got you drafted in the first round. And then to the second question, you know, some of his strengths, you know, are, you know, he has really, really good footwork. Really good footwork. So, I mean, I always have this blueprint of how quarterbacks should move in the pocket, and I create drills. I try to create a drill for every possible movement that a quarterback can make. You know, I watch a ton of film, and I watch different quarterbacks from Brady and Breeze and Rodgers and Joe Montana and Troy Aikman, and I just create a bunch of different drills to try to simulate different pressures that Jordan's going to face in Green Bay or in the game. And we work them, we drill them, and have them become muscle memory. So that's the one thing that Jordan does great. He has great feet and he has great balance. And the one thing I always talk to him about, and he's really, you know, taking it to the next level, is just jumping rope. I equate jumping jumping rope is great for quarterbacks, and I equate quarterbacks to boxers. They both have to be, you know, bouncing in the pocket, and at any given moment be able to set their feet, balance up, and throw a ball as a quarterback or throw a right hand as a boxer, you know. But you have to, that comes from balance through the ankles to be able to, you know, hit a target throwing a ball or hit a target punching at somebody. So, I mean, he's really taken that to the next level. And then his arm strength and his touch, he's able to, you know, be able to drive a 20-yard ball, whether it's a comeback or the sideline or a deep over, or be able to, you know, feather a ball over a flat defender and drop it in front of the safety. So, I mean, he really can make all those throws, and it really comes through his footwork and the balance, which allows him to be accurate down the field or even making those throws.
Man, that was an awesome breakdown. I mean, that's what Green Bay had to love. Like just that ability to make every throw. I mean, these are throws that's what you're looking for. In the NFL, like you're gonna have to make that throw you just described, where you kind of feather it over and it drops in the bucket. And
Yeah,
some guys either can do it or they can't, right?
yeah, that's exactly right. But I mean, it takes a lot of work. It's definitely a learned trait. You can't just wake up and roll out of bed and do it. Guys work really, really hard every day. At those throws.
Hey, Steve, I have a question about a longer question, sort of about the mental side of things with Jordan Love. You mentioned that, you don't leave anything untouched, or you notice all of the different details in his game. In the age of social media, the age of different influences in the outside, what sort of things are you telling Jordan? How are you mentally preparing him? He might have a tremendous opportunity coming up. What sort of things are you telling him to do? Are you telling him to insulate himself from social media? How are you telling him to mentally prepare himself for what he might have an opportunity to do?
Well, I mean, as far as all the social media, it's he's a social media guy. He looks at everything. He's on Twitter and he's on Instagram, and he just kind of the negative stuff. He takes it with a grain of salt. Like, okay, I can't win every fan over. But I mean, the positive things, I mean, there's been a lot of positive things that's come out over the last couple of days. Like, hey, even though we haven't seen you play, Jordan, but we still believe in you. They drafted you in the first round for a reason. So if the organization believes in you, then us as fans believe in you as well. So, but definitely just, he really, the fact that he had some adversity in his life with his father passing away and him kind of becoming the man of the house, and Anna Love's done an unbelievable job raising him to be a great young man. So I mean, the outside influences or the negative things, I mean, he's able to block that out, because there's nothing as far as what a fan could say or somebody who doesn't like you could say that can compare with him losing his father and having to grow up and do those things. So, I mean, that's easy stuff. Like, hey, Jordan, you suck. Okay, great. You know what I mean? It kind of goes back to sticks and stones break my bones, but words that never hurt me. So with him going through that adversity, growing into the unbelievable man that he's turned into. So he's really able to block out those things and focus on what he has to get done. That whatever Coach LaFleur and the Packers are asking him to do.
You would have been around him, right, when he lost his dad? I'm trying to think when you guys first.
I met him right after his father had passed. But to Anna's credit, she told me, okay, there's a couple of men that's going to be in Jordan's life, and I need you guys to take that male role. And it was Coach Nixon and myself. Okay, you guys are going to be around my son a lot, so you guys are going to be those male role models. And I took that serious, and I'm like, okay, absolutely. So I mean, it's an unbelievable thing for her to believe in me and believe in Coach Nixon, for us to be, and I'm not saying that it was just on me and Coach Nixon to help raise him, but we were around him a lot, and for us to take that what she gave us and run with it, and like, absolutely, yeah, I mean, yeah, Anna, no problem. Anything I can instill with him that I learned from my father, I'm going to definitely pass that along, to Jordan, or everything I've instilled, in my son. I have a son he's 3 years older now than Jordan. He's a defensive back for the Miami Dolphins. So he's, yeah. So just being able to take that and anything I could do to help Anna along, sometimes she would talk about, coming from a mom, it just wouldn't sink in, but coming from a male, whether it's Coach Nixon or myself, hey, Jordan, hey, I need you to do this, not saying that his mom and, not, hey, your mom called me and she wants to get this done, that type thing. But yeah, so I mean, that's that was really cool, and I took it serious, and it was great to be a small piece of his life and continue to be a small piece and help him grow into a great young man.
Kind of a similar question for you, Steve.
Mhm.
Could you give us some insight into Jordan's personality off the field? Kind of, what is he like as a person, and how does that change when the helmet and shoulder pads come on?
You know what? Jordan is a fun-loving, happy-going guy. I mean, loves to joke around, and I don't. It doesn't change when he's on the field. He's a connector. Um, that's why I like to call people who have just that that skill to communicate to his receivers or to his offensive linemen. Really, if they're having a bad day or they miss a block or drop a ball, he's able to pick those guys up and really just be that bright light. Like, okay, if our leader's not hanging his head down in the dump, it must not be that bad. If he's going, hey, come on, let's go. It's all right, let's go. That's the way Jordan is, on and off the field. Even when we're out working out with having Keenan Allen and from the Chargers and Mike Williams from the Chargers out there catching ball. I mean, it's great. Or him, doing one-on-ones, against my son. My son is, like I said, he's a defensive back. And they're laughing and joking and, okay, hey, I'm about to throw a bomb on you. My son's name is Nick. I'm about to throw a bomb on you, Nick. Hey, stay in your back pedal. That banter going back and forth. But he's laughing and has a smile on his face, but he is absolutely trying to embarrass you. And I think that's the Jordan Love that people going to have an opportunity to see in OTAs and in preseason. So.
AJ Dillon was saying that same thing, that he just kind of has a presence about him that, I mean, this was like pre-draft, they were working out, and he said there was one day everybody was just kind of screwing around, and Jordan just walked in and like, he didn't even remember what he said, but it was like, as soon as he started talking, everybody just shut the hell up and paid attention. And it's just that's, I guess, that it factor. There's something to quarterbacks, and some guys have it, some guys don't. But I'd imagine that was something that Green Bay probably wanted to figure out, like up to the draft. Did you guys get a sense for how interested the Packers were? I mean, I guess it caught a lot of other people by surprise. Did it catch you guys by surprise?
Yeah, I mean, because I was pretty much with Jordan through the whole process. I mean, being at the Senior Bowl, I was there the whole week. He's doing all the interviews and interviewed with so many teams, and then just the Zoom calls he was going through, and just all those things. So you really don't know who's interested. I don't think anybody's going to show how interested they are. Like, hey, here are my cards. You know what I mean? Hey, that type deal. But yeah, so I mean, it definitely caught myself by surprise, and I remember being at his house, and Wisconsin, area code pops up on his phone, and he's all, man, and we was like, wow, okay. That was a really cool night and something I'll never forget. And I was it was awesome to be able to share that with Jordan and his family. So yeah, it was a great night.
While
We
Jordan,
hear reports.
go ahead, Scott.
Thanks. So we hear reports. I see sometimes the video going around with a lot of Jordan's interceptions and such when he was at Utah State. And so how does training work on something like that? I mean, how do you actually train a young receiver? Because he's admitted, oh, I didn't see that safety come in. I mean, other than, of course, being on the field, how do you train somebody to be able to see the field?
You can't. You can't. No matter what drill, what simulation I can put Jordan through. You cannot simulate those live game reps. You can't. So we as coaches, as quarterback coaches, or whatever, we try to just do the best thing we can to try to simulate the pressures that you're going to get, but you can't simulate a Von Miller coming off the edge or whoever blitzing in the A gap. You just cannot simulate that. So we all just have to wait and see how he handles it when come preseason, or if he has the opportunity to play in a game. And that's when we're going to be able to go, okay, all that work he did in the off season, he was prepared for it. Or it might take, a game or two to get that kind of, start to slow the game down, to really understand how fast the NFL works. Practice does not do justice of how fast the game is until you're actually down there on the sideline and really see how fast those guys are working. We try to work as fast as possible. We try to simulate that game speed in practice, but with the adrenaline and 70,000 fans and in the stands, hopefully we have full stadiums again. You cannot simulate how fast things are moving when you're down there. So, we'll see when we'll all see together, hopefully.
Hey, Steve, I had a question just to piggyback off of Scott's question, I believe. Can you just talk about, from your experience, how important, in-game reps early for a rookie quarterback is? Recently the trend, and I wrote about Justin Fields recently, that, I believe that he should start in Chicago early rather than sit a year. I just feel people look at the Chiefs sitting Mahomes for a year and NFL teams think that that's the way to go, when really not every NFL team has an Alex Smith, playing for a playoff caliber team. So could you just talk about, your opinion on why you think in-game reps for a rookie quarterback is super crucial, because of the difference in game speed and the talent, at the defensive level?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's extremely important and that's why when the NFL, they're trying to cut out preseason games, and I'm like, no, let's keep them, let's keep them. And so, I mean, we have 3 this year, which is awesome. But yeah, the in-game reps are so important to a quarterback, just so you can really start to understand, the different type of pressures and blitzes you're going to see, because that's when your footwork is going to have to take over the game to, just be able to slide, a foot here or a couple of feet there, or back up or step up in the pocket. I think those live game reps are really crucial for the quarterback's confident to say, damn, okay, I can play this game. I can start to slow the process and slow the game down to really go through my progressions and make these throws. So I think it's crucial for quarterbacks to really to get those live game reps, in the preseason. And even if there's a game where Green Bay is way ahead, to be able to put your backup quarterback in there, just to get him ready, for an emergency situation.
Plus, that's what everybody says. I mean, is what makes him a great quarterback, is that he's a gamer, operating off instincts and just kind of letting it rip. I don't know. Like, I get it. You gotta sit, you gotta wait, you gotta learn. And he had coaches in his ear like all year, and he's running the scout team. It's like, at some point, for his development, you just got to get out and do it in the game. And that's where he seems to shine, when he can just kind of work off second and third reaction. I mean, is that, would you say that's a strength? I don't think we talked about that, just him being a gamer and kind of freelancing out there when he has to.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely capable of, going off script and making throws and extending plays with his legs. But to add a couple of more thoughts on the last question that I got about, as far as the Patrick Mahomes situation, or even the Aaron Rodgers situation where they had to sit and wait. I go to the situation where Justin Herbert found out maybe 15 minutes before, hey, Justin, get your helmet, man. You're about to start. We talked.
We just stabbed Tyrod in the ribs. You're playing.
We stabbed him in the ribs. Hey, get ready to go. Nobody would have guessed Justin Herbert would have been that good, if he didn't get thrown in the fire. Yeah. Hey, get your helmet. Let's go. You got to go play. So I think I love the fact that, teams are playing these young guys early. I think, Trey Lance is going to have an opportunity to play early in San Francisco, and Justin Fields. So I love the fact that, like, okay, let's just throw them in the fire, because you can't simulate those reps in practice. You cannot, guys are, are trying to protect, each other, protect teammates, and so they can, be the best they can possibly be on Sundays. So I like the fact that they throw the guys in early and get those game reps. But
hey, Steve, could you tell me a little bit more about the business side of things? There's a lot of position coaches out there, a lot of guys out there doing what you do now. You're sort of in a booming industry. How do you differentiate your product when you're making pitches to young talent?
Well, I never pitch. I don't go out and go after clientele. Like, hey, this is what I do. The best thing for me, that's even better than social media, is word of mouth. So if there's a young quarterback in Bakersfield that saw Jordan when he was home, or he was, I know he visited one of his high school football games this past spring, because here in California we played in the spring. If, a parent or a young quarterback, hey, Jordan, who you train with? And he goes, hey, I train with Steve Calhoun from Armed and Dangerous Football. He helped me, get to where I'm at right now. I think you should call him up and follow the same blueprint that I use to help me get to where I'm at. So it's definitely, like you said, a booming business, especially here in Southern California. It's pretty much a quarterback coach on almost every corner. But so the business side of it is, I only can control what I can control. I have a 15-year track record of doing what I'm doing. I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of good quarterbacks and been a small piece to their success. And I always say I'm a small piece of the puzzle. I'm never going to take credit, because even though I can instill all the information of the quarterback, because I played quarterback for 32 years, and I try to instill that to Jordan. He still has to go out and do it. He still has to be able to go out there and take it and apply it and do that. So hopefully I answered your question. If I didn't, you can, ask me a follow-up question, and hopefully I can answer a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I do have a follow-up though. Is there anybody out there that you feel like your coaching style is a match with? Somebody you wish you could have got your hands on and taken to that next level?
Ooh, nothing off the top of my head. Nobody off the top of my head where I would be like, oh, I would love to have worked with him. And yeah, I love having the opportunity to work with anybody that really crossed my path. Whether it's a Russell Wilson, or or even being. I have the unbelievable opportunity to work at the Manning Passing Academy every summer. So they invite the 40 top college quarterbacks down there to be counselors, to the 1,500 high school kids that are down there every summer down there in Louisiana. And we have the opportunity to work those quarterbacks out, once a day, just to kind of keep them sharp, because once they leave the Manning Passing Academy, they got to get ready for fall camp. So to be able to be around those guys and see them live and give them a coaching point here and there, Joe Burrow was there when Jordan was there, and Tua and Justin Herbert. So just to be around those guys and be able to give them a couple of coaching points, pull them to the side and say, hey, this might be able to help you. I saw you struggling throwing, that 12-yard speed out to your left, and it was kind of selling high. Well, hey, get your hips open. So to be able to do that, I've been doing that the last 7 years, and this is year 8 for me coming up this summer in July. It's an unbelievable opportunity to work with those guys.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I'm just sort of a nerd for that stuff. I work in communications and marketing, and I'm always trying to sell these intangible things that people can't touch or feel. And it seems like your line of work is kind of the same thing.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Appreciate the question.
Steve, I'm wondering, that junior year, 2019, there was a lot of turnover, new offensive coordinator, new head coach, almost entirely new personnel. As someone who interacted with Jordan, how did he handle that mentally? Did he get down? Did he take it as an opportunity? Where was his head at during that season?
He was a little frustrated going into that, as anybody would. like, okay, man, I'm coming into, you know, my pretty much my fourth year. I got this offense down. We got some seniors around me, and we can really make a splash in the conference. And they had a really good couple of non-conference games. So he was a little bit frustrated with that, but he took that opportunity to say, okay, if I'm as good as I think I am, I put the whole team on my back. Let's go. Let me lead, you know, my Utah State team. And so I actually went to the game where Utah State played LSU, and it was a tough game. But as a coach, I wanted them to be like, okay, his best receiver, Cioce Mariner, went out, I think, early in the second quarter with a shoulder injury. And then their starting tight end went out, you know, with a knee or something like that. And if I'm the coach and my best player is Jordan Love, I'm going to let him throw it 60 times for us to have a chance. And I was just hoping they would do that, but they were being conservative and just, you know, just throwing quick game. And LSU was just bringing the dogs, and the safeties never even backpedaled. They were just coming downhill because they were just dinking and dunking. And I wanted to see them just to push all their chips to the middle of the table and say, hey, we got this quarterback that's supposed to be, you know, possibly high in the draft. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can really just take our team and against LSU, and they had all these draft picks. And let's see, you know, the Jordan we see in practice, you know, just see him flourish in that atmosphere. You know, we're in Death Valley. It's a noon kickoff. It's hot. Yeah, so that's the one thing I really wanted to see them do. But, you know, that was his mentality of, hey, you know, put it all on my shoulders. Let me lead my team. And that's the one thing, if he has that opportunity in Green Bay, I know he's going to have the same mindset and do the same thing.
A quick follow-up, if you don't mind. Along those lines, as I'm a Gopher fan as well as a Packer fan, what were your impressions of the OC, Mike Sanford, and as far as a play caller and a developer at quarterbacks, just briefly?
You know, well, Coach Sanford, I mean, he's actually a good friend of mine, because, I mean, his father is one of my mentors. Coach Sanford, I call Coach Sanford. That's his dad. You know, funny thing is, Coach Sanford, Mike's dad, recruited Rob Tanyan to Indiana State, and also recruited one of my quarterbacks, Matt Adam, to Indiana State. And so that's when I got a chance to meet, you know, Coach Sanford, and met Mike and through that whole process. So it was tough for him to join the staff, and they said, okay, we're not going to change the offense. Okay, Mike, you got to learn this offense. So that would be tough to do, to try to, okay, learn an offense and be able to know all the nooks and the crannies and the ins and the outs to be able to be a great play caller. So I know that had to be some frustrating to do, you know, as a play caller, me being a former offensive coordinator, you know, in high school and junior college. I couldn't imagine, like, okay, all right, I got to learn it. Okay. But yeah, so just going back to that, I know that was a tough thing for, you know, that staff. And I know for Mike, just say, okay, everybody on the team knows the offense, and now the coaches, you guys got to learn it. So I think there was a little bit of a learning curve, and it took a few games to kind of get everybody up to speed and on the same page. And then they started to roll.
That's interesting, but I didn't know that. So he comes in, and it's like, even though he's a coordinator, he can't run his offense. And that had to be such a weird dynamic for everybody. Huh.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it was.
Real quick, like, one thought just kind of crossed my mind here, Steve. Like we're all wondering what the hell Jordan's thinking of, and like how is he dealing like with I mean, this is the number one story in sports. I mean, all season by far. It's like, but I mean, and obviously you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but like, I mean, there's probably a chance he kind of knows what Aaron's gonna do, right? They have the same agency. I mean, they get along and everything. Aaron, maybe he did him that courtesy. Hey, Jordan, like, this is what's going to happen. Like, does he know how this is going to all end? And we're just kind of like running around like chickens with our heads cut off.
You know, I never talked to Jordan about, well, one time. We talked one time about everything that's going on right now. Just once. I said, how you doing? Like, what do you think about going, you know, everything's going on? He was like, this is crazy. And I'm like, Yeah. And I said, all right, let's go. Grab your ball. Let's get to work. And that's it. You know what I mean? I'm sure his phone, he's getting texts and getting tweeted at and DM'd. So I don't want to be that extra person in his ear. If he wanted to talk to me about it, absolutely, man, let's go grab some lunch. Let's go get some dinner and let's just go talk it out. Let's try to figure out the world's problems. But besides that, we never talked about it at all. And if Aaron, he's never told me that him and Aaron talked about this. I don't think Aaron would share something like that, with Jordan. I think, he's, Aaron's a guy that's going to control what he's, controlling and not share that with, Jordan or anybody else. I think that's just, him and his agents are working that out with the franchise with Green Bay, and I'm sure they're going to come to a resolution. And I think Aaron will be back, and he'll be the starter in 21.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right. Because I guess part of me thinks he's dug in and he ain't gonna change his mind. But I mean, maybe there could be a resolution there. You think that's just what you're predicting here?
Yep, that's just what I'm predicting. Yeah.
Sam, I see you up there. What's up?
Yeah. So, Steve, you mentioned multiple, quarterbacks nowadays, they kind of they become starters earlier on in their careers, whereas, the trend is, but like back when Aaron Rodgers was drafted was to have them sit, or I assume that was the trend. What do you think is the reason behind someone like Deshaun Kaiser from a few years ago, who started immediately, kind of struggled and never really got past that? Was it the situation, like the offensive line, the play calling, or was it something else?
The one thing about quarterbacks that struggle, they go, "Oh, Deshaun Kaiser's terrible." But there are so many moving parts for a quarterback to play great. I mean, there's so many things. And if you never played quarterback, I don't think you can really understand and be that armchair guy. Not you. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about people in general. So, I mean, there's so many factors why Deshaun, had some struggles, with the interceptions. Could be maybe they didn't tailor the offense to his strengths. That could be a huge one right there. Like, okay, hey, this is our offense. Okay, yeah, we know, and this is what we want you to execute, but maybe that's not his strengths. Maybe those are some of his weaknesses. And maybe the offensive line and maybe just young receivers. I can't really think back to, the games where Deshaun actually played, but I actually trained Deshaun in high school, so I have a very good relationship with him. Yeah, so I mean, there's just so many factors that come into that. And so, but I like young guys playing early, because if they're not mentally tough and they have some adversity, you will know right away, because they won't bounce back from it. But if they come back, a week later or 2 weeks later and start showing improvement and showing that grit of like, okay, I know, I was terrible a couple of weeks ago, but hey, watch how I'm playing now. And that's when you have a great quarterback, when he's going to fight through that adversity. Or if he doesn't have that success early and he starts to tank a little bit, then as well, then that's just kind of like it's black and white. It's black and white. Or it might take a little bit more time for him to develop. Maybe another year, maybe that second year he'll come back. But it's such a I want this right now attitude from the NFL. We got to have it. We want guys. Oh, you didn't play well? We're drafting a guy, next year, and that's just kind of how the NFL is. So it's an interesting situation, to play early or sit him.
I mean, that Browns offense versus this Packers offense. You talk about two different situations for a quarterback. I think, God, that was right when they were in full tank mode too. I think they bring back Kenny Britt, and he didn't even really want to be there. They didn't have much there.
Right.
It'd be a little different for Jordan.
Yeah. Definitely.
Hey, Ty, I got a question for Steve. Steve, I guess this is different, as a fan, never having played a down of football, but I'm interested in the evolution of the game, going out 20 years. You're dealing with a lot of younger players. are you, you know, I remember Deion Sanders with that quote, you know, making a business decision, and you know, people maybe made fun of that like 20 years ago, but when you're coaching young players, are you kind of advising them to protect themselves more? I mean, or you know, it's just, you know, to fight another day. You know, there was that ethos where Ty had this article recently about Rob Johnson with the Bills just being that statue, taking so many hits. Are you telling your younger guys to, you know, make sure you don't take that big hit? And also, do you see like high school sports and, you know, college and then maybe the pros, you know, kind of passing different rules where that protect, you know, you work with wide receivers, you know, and the quarterbacks and the wide receivers are, you know, more and more who people come to see play. Do you see more protections for those guys where, you know, you can't maybe even, you know, hit like a QB on the blind side or that kind of thing? I'm just wondering what you see kind of evolution wise, you know, going out 20 years, for example.
Yeah. So to answer your first question, no, I never say, hey, make a business decision. Make the play that's there to make. Never, you know, say, oh, well, God, I'm 19 for 19, and I'm just going to take a sack to keep my 100% completion rate. Like, are you trying to win the game or not? That's it. Do you want to win or not? So that answers the first question. No, I mean, we're gonna play as hard as we possibly can and make every play. And then to your second question is, the rules have become more strict as far as hitting quarterbacks and you know, hitting receivers low and defenseless receivers and all that stuff, because of um, the scoring, the amount of scoring that, you know, that fans want to see, and just exciting plays that, you know, I can't the fantasy football thing. That's why I think the NFL has been listening to all these fantasy football, you know, owners and teams, and like, oh, okay. And it's just so much money. I mean, there's so many people playing for money now, you know, having fantasy football teams. And so hopefully the NFL is not listening to those guys and making those strict rules, you know, to protect quarterbacks. But it does drive the game and the excitement of the game. Me as a purist, just somebody who loves football, I don't mind seeing 3-0. I mean, I love guys making defensive plays like, wow. And quarterbacks, I mean, it might just, you have to make one play in the game that turns it to possibly, you know, get a touchdown or get in field goal range to tie it up to go into overtime. I love that. But that's just me. But, you know, the definitely the game has been changed since, you know, the Joe Montanas, and you know, I did read that article, you know, about Rob Johnson. He's, you know, he's a friend of mine. You know, we probably live about 20 minutes from each other. And
Get
his
out of
dad,
here. Wow.
no, definitely. You know, his dad coached me. You know, I was playing, you know, football in Europe, and when I would come home, I would go out to Mission Viejo high school practices, and during their quarterback drills, he would let me jump in and train me. So, you know, Bob Johnson and all, you know, me and Brett played against each other in high school, and you know, so I mean, I do have a relationship with those guys. So it was really cool reading that and just talking about the concussions and all that stuff. So yeah, I do. I'm a little bit kind of torn because they do protect the quarterbacks and the receivers a little bit too much. And I want to see, you know, because I mean, quarterbacks are tough. We are tough guys, and you know, they protect quarterbacks so much. You know, you really don't get a chance to see them, you know, take a hit and kind of bounce up. So, yeah.
Man, I don't think people realize like Bob Johnson's imprint on the sport too. Like, I didn't know that he really started Elite 11, you know, once upon a time. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
It all traces back to him, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. He was definitely an innovator. He was far beyond his time coming up with, you know, quarterbacks.
I know it, man. I just can't imagine what that family's going through with all of that. Oh my God, it's heartbreaking. But they got a really positive attitude about it. It sure seems.
Absolutely. You know, just real quick. I mean, I'm sure you guys are a fan of football. You know, but the passing of Colt Brennan, you know, at 37 years old. I mean, I trained Colt for a couple of years, and unbelievable, just person, quarterback. That's one guy. Just the situation wasn't right when he got to Washington, but he would definitely have rewrote some records in the NFL, since we are talking quarterbacks. And he was, you know, unorthodox. He would always like, hey, Colt, just one time in this hour and a half workout, just come over the top. And he'd be like, all right, Steve, and just throw a sidearm and be skipping rocks. But the ball's on the money. So I'm like, hey, you know, why would I try to coach that out of him? You know what I mean? So that was a tough loss. And God, so many people, you know, reached out to me and just were on Twitter. So yeah, so talking about, you know, concussions, you know, he was in that really bad car accident over in Hawaii. So I'm not sure if they diagnosed it with concussions or whatever have you, but you know, that'd be interesting. They still have not said what was the cause of him passing. So I'm interested to find out, you know, what happened with that situation. So.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah.
I know we have a question here, but yeah, definitely like with Colt, like, I mean, it just, you worked with, what else was he like as a guy, as a player, that maybe people don't
Yeah.
know?
I was just telling a story the other day. I was talking to Mackenzie Milton, who's he's from Hawaii. He plays now at Florida State. He was at UCF. I'm going to be, you know, possibly training him for the draft. But we were talking, and I was sharing the story with him. And I said, okay, the 2 years I trained Colt, he never came on time to a workout. Never, not one time. And I used to change the time, and he started figuring. I'm like, hey, Colt, we're throwing at 12 today. You know, even though the workout was at 1, and he would just show up at 12:45 and be like, Steve, you can't imagine how big this dog was. It was in the middle of the street. And, you know, I couldn't drive around it, and I wasn't gonna run it over. He had so many unbelievable excuses, and he used to just be like the whole Hawaii, like, Steve, just, hey, hang loose, brother. Hey, brother, hang loose, Steve. We're gonna get our work done. All the time he was late though, and I was telling Mackenzie that the other day, so that brought a smile to my face. Just like now, just remember all those good times that we had, and how good of a quarterback he was. So, yeah.
Oh my God. Cole Till, hit us.
How you doing? Thanks. I've been listening the whole time. It's been great. Just kind of news of the day with Jawan James and now Deshaun Hamilton with getting injured off site. How do you think that's going to affect now, you know, your business, and then all the people that are working off site now, maybe at the urging of the Players Association beforehand, but now how is this going to change now with people getting injured and maybe getting their contracts canceled because of it off site?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think it's I don't think the NFL is going to step in and tell guys, hey, you can't work off, you know, in the off season. I think so many guys make really good gains in the off season working with their private coaches or their speed trainers or their, you know, strength and conditioning guys. I think guys, you know, it really helps the team. You know, guys are not out here, you know, you know, skateboarding or jet skiing, you know, behind speedboats or whatever. Like if they start getting hurt like that, like, oh, okay, all right, guys, we got to calm that down. But if guys are actually, you know, working on their craft and it just like a freak thing happens, you know, I mean, you know, we're out here, I mean, a year and a half ago, and, you know, myself and, you know, I'm working out with Keenan Allen and those receivers, and Derwin James, you know, is out there working out with us, and you know, he's having an unbelievable off season. I mean, it was great. He's moving around. We're just like, wow, okay, Derwin's going to be good. And he gets into, you know, practice, you know, a non-contact drill, just plants and bam, just tears his knee up. We're just like, yeah. So, I mean, you really can't, you know, determine, you know, when that's going to happen, or if it's something, you know, guys are doing in the off season. I truly believe, I don't think the NFL is going to step in to tell guys not to work out with, you know, offsite, or, you know, so I really don't think it's going to affect my business. I hope not. I'm sorry. That's my guy, Felipe Franks. He's at many, he's calling me back. All right, hold on. I'm going to answer this real quick. Hold on. Okay, all right.
Hey, man,
I mean, man, I had a great time.
That was
Had a
awesome.
good first practice at the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, so he's in rookie mini camp right now, so I can't wait to hear. But I got a couple more minutes because I do need to answer that call. Hopefully I was able to, I'll take a couple more questions. So
Hey, I've got one more, if I could.
Sure.
I'm just wondering, so you talked a little bit about quarterbacks not being ready sometimes, the rookies when they first get into the league. I'm just wondering, I've heard a lot of chatter that Jordan Love is not ready, which I'm sure you would disagree with. I'm just wondering, what would you say you think his biggest challenges will be making that transition into the NFL? I know you talked a little bit about the speed of the game. How are his nerves, his mental game, his instincts? Those are all really important when you get thrown into that fast-paced environment. What do you think his biggest challenge is going to be getting in the game?
I think the biggest challenge is just the not knowing of, okay, how is it being in a live game? But again, I think he's gonna excel. He's gonna do well because he was, practicing against, the first team defense. So it's not going to be like, oh my God, I've never seen, an NFL defense before. And, and they're working on, their different blitzes and their fire zones and all that stuff they're going to be doing against, Detroit and Chicago and the Vikings. So, I mean, he's seen a lot in a year, and going, getting those extra weeks of practice when they were, because they went to the NFC Championship game. So all those reps that he took during practice, even though his scout team and his wasn't his offense, I think he, that prepared him kind of, I would use the term hardened his shell a little bit, or made his hands a little rougher and not those baby soft hands, if you can work with me right there. But so I think he'll be okay. He'll be fine. He'll definitely, I know he's looking forward to the challenge, but definitely just the not knowing of, man, okay, all right, playing in front of the, home fans and really, having the full playbook that I have to run, like that part right there. Like, okay, I'm not running, scout team cards. I'm actually, running our offense that Coach LaFleur is calling for us. So I think, he's gonna. I know they've been doing Zoom meetings, and he's been, getting better, working at it every day. He works at it every day. There's not a day that he does not go by where he's not in the playbook. And if he has questions, he's calling the coaches and getting those answers, because he wants to be, prepared, be the most prepared person, in the locker room and in that quarterback room.
That's great news. Are you going to be there for one of those preseason games?
Absolutely. Definitely. Wouldn't miss it. Would not miss it.
Steve, that was awesome, man. God,
Yeah.
we can't thank you enough for hanging out with us for an hour. That was phenomenal. Thanks for giving us a look at a guy that we don't, most people don't know anything about. So
yeah. Well, hopefully, hey, we'll have to do all this over again. If he plays in a couple of preseason games, we're, call me back up and let's get it going again. I want to hear you guys' criticism and praise.
Absolutely, man. Hey, well, he'll be starting this year, so we'll speak it into existence, and take your 2 first, take your 2 second, get all get everything you can now for Aaron. So that's me saying it.
Hey, I'm gonna let you say that, brother. I'm staying out of the way. I'm keeping my head down, because if I said anything crazy, Jordan would be calling like, "What are you doing? Are you kidding?" Yeah. So I'm always watching what I say, and I never want to put words in his mouth. So I'm just going to be a good soldier and definitely answer you guys' questions and just answer the questions that that me and him interact with. That's what I can't answer those questions. I can't answer anything about the future and how he's going to play. So,
well, that was fantastic and great stuff, everyone. Thanks so much for all the great questions too. That was awesome.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Really,
anytime, man. Open invite. If you just want to bullshit with us, just let us know.
All right, that sounds good. You guys have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys at a Green Bay game. Do the little tailgating.
That's what we got to do. Go along tailgate at Lambeau. Done.
There you go. Done deal. All right, you guys enjoy your weekend. Thanks for having me on again.
Hey, thank you, Steve. We'll see you, man.